The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the speaker and don't necessarily represent those of the station, its staff, management, or ownership.
Good morning. This is Hudson Valley Focus, and on the phone with me today on this Sunday, 4th of July, Independence Day, is Chris Gibson, and Chris is a candidate for the United States Congress from New York's 20th Congressional District. Good morning, Chris.
Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's great to be with you.
Well, I'm glad you're here, and the fact that this is airing on the 4th of July, Independence Day, and given your background as a military veteran with 24 years of service, I thought it was really appropriate to try to have you on this week.
Well, I appreciate that, and happy Independence Day out there to all Americans. And we remember the sacrifices of those who laid down their lives so that we can live free in the greatest country the world's ever known.
It is amazing, and I think for too many people, we have our picnics and barbecues and get-togethers on the 4th of July, and we don't really stop and think about the historical significance of that and those individuals who pledged literally their lives and their worth to sign that Declaration of Independence. Absolutely.
The courage that it took to take on that mission. Ben Franklin famously said, we better hang together or most certainly hang separately. So our thoughts are certainly with those great patriots that laid the foundation for our country. And once again, to the men and women of our armed forces, we say thank you for being out there today, supporting and securing our freedoms overseas, involved in operations. And our thoughts and prayers go out to the families of the fallen, those men and women who've given their lives in support of our freedom.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as I said at the outset, you are a 24-year veteran, a full colonel, I think with 82nd Airborne?
Yeah, I rose to the rank of colonel. My last assignment was as the commander of the 2nd Brigade Combat Team of the 82nd Airborne Division. That's the 325 Airborne Infantry Regiment, a proud and storied unit that initially came into active duty in the early days of World War I and has distinguished itself in all conflicts ever since.
Yeah, and it really is amazing. And for people who've never been in the military and not familiar with it, what's the size of a brigade?
Our brigade combat team was 3,700 men and women, paratroopers.
And that's quite a responsibility on your shoulders to be responsible literally for the lives and then to oversee all the logistics and budgeting. It is, in fact, equivalent to being the CEO of a very, very large organization.
Well, in fact, Commander is an executive and performs similar roles that you see of executives across the business and governmental realm. I would tell you it was an honor and a privilege to serve as the commander of the 2nd Brigade Combat Team. Yes, indeed, a great deal of responsibility, but you know what? It's a cause, and everyone is involved in that cause. And when you're surrounded by such an incredible group of professionals, the men and women of the 2nd Brigade Combat Team of the 82nd, it really made my job a lot easier. I had to provide the vision and lead by example, but we just had the most phenomenal paratroopers, I think, ever known to man that were involved in our organization.
It's interesting what you just said, and I thought back 40-plus years ago. I told you I was originally an infantryman who trained in Fort Polk, Louisiana, in a nice place called Tigerland.
Right.
And actually wound up not going to Vietnam because my brother was already there, but wound up just below the DMZ in Korea after the capture of the Pueblo spy ship. And it really is something to think about what it is to be an officer in the military. And I well remember the officers there always made sure that their troops were cared for before they themselves, always made sure they were fed, they had the resources that they needed, and it really does speak well to the leadership.
Well, I appreciate those comments. Certainly respect and admire your service, that of your family. I must say, though, that while I concur with all your comments, I would tell you that the strength of our Army and what separates us from armies across the globe are non-commissioned officers. I mean, they're the backbone of our Army. I'll tell you, my dad was a non-commissioned officer. I served with, over the 24 years of active service, an amazing corps of professionals, non-commissioned officers, who every day carry out orders, take initiative, accomplish the mission, and look after the welfare of their men and women. And so I would tell you that that's something as we go forward that we must always preserve, is our non-commissioned officer corps, because, as I said, it makes us distinct from armies across the world.
Yes, and I think, if we take that and translate it across all lines, all individuals, regardless of their level in our society, are important, and I think that's sometimes lost.
Absolutely. In fact, I would tell you that's an animating principle of our campaign. If you hit our website and our Facebook, you'll see that constantly that theme comes up, is that this campaign is about the strength of America, individuals, families, and communities. And, we are truly an exceptional nation. It's a topic that is often debated in the popular media, and I would tell you that I come down firmly on the side that we're an exceptional nation. You look at our founding documents, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, it provided for freedom and the opportunity for Americans to rise to their God-given potential. And that's what we're looking to help restore in this campaign. We want to grow the private sector economy. We want to restore fiscal responsibility, and we want to protect our freedoms.
I concur with that completely. After 40 years in the insurance business and having worked with literally thousands of homeowners, individuals, business owners, it is that collective strength of the individual and the family that builds it. And this, what I have seen that I find particularly distressing now, is this, centralized command and control legislation that's being imposed on everything from our health care, stripping away the aggregate taxation in this country now strips away probably 60% of the work of the average household and gives it to government, and the waste. To me, it's like pouring sand in a machine, and it is not working.
Absolutely. Our campaign stands opposed to this. First it was the banking industry, then it was the auto industry and healthcare industry, and then we threw in the student loan industry for good measure. I would tell you that we're heading in the wrong direction. We're on a path towards centralization and dependency. This is a road that's going to take us to Greece if we don't get off it. We're at 93% debt to GDP ratio. Greece was about 113% when it imploded. We must reverse our course. And I would tell you that the answers are right before us. The things that made us a great nation are the very same things that we need to restore. Our best days are still in front of us, providing that we make the right decisions. To make the right decisions, we need the right leaders. And that's why I'm coming forward today. I'm going to play a part in this cause. I'll help lead this cause, but it's going to take the best efforts of all throughout the 20th District here in New York and throughout America to help restore our country.
And it really is, I think what you just said, it really, to me, is about unleashing that potential, not harnessing it through further regulation.
That's absolutely so. About 17 months ago, this administration recognized something that was not controversial, that the fact that our economy was underperforming. But the path, the choices that they made, in my view, were wrong-headed. What we chose to do is take close to $1 trillion of our money, move it around, put it in the so-called stimulus bill, and it failed us. And if we were truly looking to grow the private sector economy, all we needed to do was listen to our small business owners, the engine of this economy. They'll tell you what the impediments are to their growth. And in general, their taxation, regulation, and healthcare costs.
Yes.
And so the solutions to our economic underperformance should be oriented on the problems. And our campaign, that's why those are the central points of our campaign, is targeted tax and regulatory relief and repeal and replace the health care bill.
Yes. Good morning. This is Hudson Valley Focus. I'm Tom Sipis. And on the phone with me on this 4th of July Independence Day is Chris Gibson. And Chris is a candidate for the United States Congress from New York's 20th Congressional District. And I actually would go back. I think there's been some myths perpetrated intentionally over the last couple of years that I'd like your comment about. First of all,